I just love to play this stuff. I'm not representing a store. I do have a booth out there today because we just were here anyway. My wife and I cut this stuff to play it and to enjoy it. We don't do a lot of reselling stuff, so a lot of stuff that I brought today is, I was saying to them earlier, it's not eBay rare, it's just random rare. Like one of the things I brought was this, it's an Atari 2600 6-in-1 game switcher thing. I don't have a clue. I mean, I know what it does and it's really cool. I found it in a box somewhere and it's just neat. I thought maybe it was like a demo unit for a store because they used to have these back in the day. But again, I want to know how much it was worth online. I couldn't even find it. So I'm like, cool, 1 in a million, you know? Then one other thing I'll point out, just I have Pac-Man. It's a Korean knockoff of Pac-Man. Super sweet. Doesn't exist according to the Google. It's cool. When you load it up, it's just Pac-Man. It's a normal thing. But again, just one of those things in my collection that's like, you don't have this. I
love player cards.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Disney ones. They're not. I have one Disney one. It's not here actually. It's a Chinese Mulan knockoff for the Genesis. It's actually just a port of the Game Boy Color game, but you know all the time they take all the different systems and port them to different things that are more popular if they were in their particular countries. My name's Adam Nelson. I work at Infinite Lives in Oswego and Watertown, although my actual purpose here is to bring the Sega. I've been collecting Sega for about 3 to 4 years now. It generally on the bottom of the totem pole compared to Sony and Microsoft collecting, or Sony and Nintendo collecting at this point. So it's, that's what I grew up with. That's what I like a lot. I think the best one I'm going to talk about, just because it's really weird. This is Spiritual Warfare. This is the Bible game that nobody talks about. If you're familiar with Wisdom Tree and Bible Adventures, if you've ever watched an online video of worst games ever, they probably talked about it. This is a relatively shot-for-shot remake of Zelda. One, including the fact that you go up in the first room and say, here, take this, and they give you an item to, vanquish your foes. In this game, you're saving evil demons and turning them into praying Christians. It's bad. It's really bad. But, huh?
Is it a Bible they give you?
No, you throw fruit at them. You throw them the holy fruit, and they convert.
Oh, okay.
It's really great. They're bad games, but they're not super expensive, especially the Genesis. The Genesis ones, loose carts, they look a little bit weird. They go for like $20. The boxed ones, they get up to, this one's actually cheap. This one's only about 50 or 60. But they get up to the Exodus and Joshua ones get up to like 90 and 100. Really quick fact, if you do start collecting any of those systems, instruction manuals they come with are universal for anything. The computer version, the NES version, they're all the same instruction booklet. So if you get the instruction booklet's cheap, it's an easy way to, get the question. You have to look for a specific version. Boxes, on the other hand, you will have to find. They do have the, but that's just one of the cool things.
One thing is that recently a Kickstarter group just purchased the rights to a lot of the Wisdom Tree games, and some of them they're going to start to be re-releasing. They're starting with the Supernova's Arc for the Super Nintendo. So it'll be interesting to see where the value on these goes. But these are still the original, and to a true collector, they're still going to want that. There's no getting around it. I'm glad you brought those. I just saw that recently. And it's pretty interesting, but they're fun. Those games are fun because
it's still Zelda.
Goofy. Yeah.
I mean, it's choppy and it's really in your face and trying to be Christian, but
does this one have trivia?
Yes, it's still and it's interrupted randomly.
Well, the real question is it as bad as Philip's CDI Zelda?
Nope. Not Zelda. Better Zelda game than an actual Zelda game.
All right.
Anyways, I'm going to shut up now and let you go ahead.
My name is James McKay. I run a store up in Brewerton called Clutter Ducks Emporium. We are a main focus in video games, but the reason I'm on the panel is because they wanted me to be the toy guy. So I bring in some kind of cool toys. Most of them are going to be video game related. Some of them are not. Obviously, this isn't. I'll talk about this first, and if we have time, we'll get into those. This is the Millennium Falcon. It was made in 1996 by Kenner. This was, it is a reproduction, but it is one of the more sought after reproductions. The people in the back, it's really big.
It's big, yeah.
It's 30 inches. It's the largest Millennium Falcon toy that they've ever made. There are 2 removable panels on here, so you can look inside. It does fit full-sized action figures in here. So we have a couple with it, like Darth Maul and Yoda. It doesn't have the Han Solo figure that is supposed to be with it. It does have a lot of sounds. hear Mark Hamill whining?
The black shield down, I can't even see.
The next one's Obi-Wan.
The most brooding man in the Batman
How
game.
can I see? But there is the chessboards, as I said, let the Wookiee win in here. It does light up. All the accessories are pretty much here. A boxed one of this is hard to find because a lot of people did take them out and display them because of how big they are. If it was boxed, you're looking right around like 400. In this condition, somewhere between 200 and 300 is normally what you can get for them to a collector. For the everyday person that's looking at it, it's probably around 150. It's a really cool toy. I really like it. I have it right on my front window so people can come in and every single person is like, whoa, you know, so I like that.
I think it speaks to what you're saying too. I was going to mention a lot of people that come around looking at the prices of the stuff here and our store in the stores in the local area. You got to remember that it's not you're dealing with Central New York. So like some of the prices might be lower than they would be if you're dealing with the entire world like eBay. Because I see it all the time where people are even in stores or pricing stuff. They go, oh yeah, I looked it up on eBay. It's going for $100. Well, shipping's like 10, so I'm gonna charge 110. Good luck. 'Cause you're dealing with Europe too. I mean, like I don't get that. So like it's cool to think that you think about that idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing that I always tell people when they're looking at their collection or someone else's collection, and they're trying to come up with a price on anything. The price is always subjective to, okay, who wants it and how much are they willing to pay for it? And that's what it really boils down to. Yeah, it's great that, someone bought it for $300, but maybe that person really, really wanted it. Now there's not another person out there like that wants it for $300. So you have to really kind of look into it and say, okay, well, this is what it's going to go for today.
eBay is a good search tool, but it is not the definitive law. I think it's a good law.
Yeah, anyone can ask any price on anything.
But
$700.
But we weren't really here to lecture you on
No,
how to collect.
no,
we are
yeah.
here to look at your stuff and tell you, or you can tell us. I mean, really,
Yeah.
if you already know everything about it, by all means, just go on and we'll just add our little clips at the end. I'm gonna pick one and then we'll just take turns picking one.
Sure.
I gotta go with Vectrex.
Yeah.
I already saw you guys play that earlier, but I'd love to actually talk about it a bit. What's up? So what can you tell us personally about the Vectrex? You seem to, I assume you have hooked up and stuff, so you know what
Cool.
Yes! It is very cool.
Well, feel free to interrupt me, but I'll stretches. There's a couple good things about the Vectrex. One thing that's kind of neat about it is that this is actually a legitimate museum piece. If you have ever been to the Most downtown, up until about 6 months ago, they actually had this in their museum. They stopped having it in the museum because it was not repairable. It's a great system. It's a very unique system because of the wireframe graphics have yet to be truly reproduced on anything. There's things on iPad, but to get the actual glow and the look of a Vectrex, you have to have a Vectrex. And because it comes with its own television inside of it, finding these in a box, first of all, but if it actually works and it's in playable condition, this is a very collectible piece. There's no getting around that, which is why you picked it first, not because it's front row, but I mean...
Also, for a fact, I played it, so I know words.
Yeah, and that's incredible. Have you ever...
I've never come across a Vectrex ever before, but I have seen them like on videos and so on and so forth. I've never actually played.
We have one down at our Oswego store right now. It's not a sale piece. We just have it we have it. My boss owns it. He likes just having it to show people and let people to try it out. Ours doesn't work as nice as his does. His looks like it came out of the box 20 years ago, 30 years ago. However long it's been since this thing came out. And I mean, everything's in there. I mean, there's no extra hookups. I mean, you plug it in and everything else is just ready to go. I mean, the sound system's built into it, the controller's built onto it. It's a relatively clean, easy system to like put somewhere. It fits very well in any of your cases. I mean, and it's a unique system, and it actually holds up kind of well just because it has that sort of novelty factor. As far as the price, I did look into it. Loose, just normal working condition ones go for like around 150 to 200. That price basically relatively goes to about 250 to 350 if you have a box and everything in there. Most of the stuff that I've seen it go for. I mean, ours is down the store. If we ever considered selling it, we talked about 200, but we decided against it. But I've seen plenty of those go for about $300, complete in the box. And then, of course, the games, I don't have a very large knowledge of them. I know of them, but I don't really know which ones they're sought after because there's not a lot of Vectrex collectors out there because there's not a lot of working bugs to collect to use them.
Well, that goes to the whole idea of the eBay versus local. To get more money, you would sell this beautifully online because, again, people all over the world are looking for this. Flip side of that, you need to heavily insure it because just in shipping, it gets dropped once, you've lost something that's priceless to a degree. So I mean, you really have to be super careful, and that's what this would be a challenge to sell comfortably if you're going to do that route because of that. You know, in my opinion. You know, because also too, eBay how it works. I mean, I don't do it very often when I do. If the people that buy it say they didn't get it, they didn't get it, even if they did. And then you're out, you know, completely. So you need to do a lot of insurance on it. You know, but again, tracking for sure.
Like for something along this lines, one thing I always tell people: if you're going to sell us on eBay, tracking number, so it shows that it got there. Signature confirmation, they have to sign that they actually received it, and insure. Because the one thing that they can do is if there's anything wrong with it, they can give you photo documentation. We can get your money back from the post office. So those are just things to keep in mind if you're trying to sell it. I mean, if that was in my store, I would probably put $349 on it because I'd want it to sit around for a while. I'd want a bunch of people to come in and see it before I sell it. Yeah, like my CDI.
If I put this in my house, I get slapped by my wife for paying for it. So.
And I already have enough collecting to do for one day. I think I'm good, but I'm just impressed how well it leads, how well it's kept.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing it. I mean,
Yeah.
is there
Do you guys have any further
questions?
questions on it too, though, or something that you want to share? Because I talk for a living, so I can just keep going if I don't get stopped. So. Oh, nice.
Any particular games that are worth mentioning, like any licensed games? I'm pretty sure there's a Star Trek game for it. We should mention really quick. You have them. If you want to.
That's.
Every game came with an overlay to because obviously it's a black and white screen. So each game would come with overlays, so you could better tell what was happening in the game. The Odyssey did the same thing, and it would also give a bit of color, and it actually works pretty well from my experience. It actually does make games look really nice. And the light's so bright on that thing that it actually really does look the colors they put in there. Surprisingly effective for 1980 something.
It's like I think 81 or 80.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
Yeah, it's quite the
just out of curiosity, what was your goal today? Like, did you want to get a price to sell it, or you just want to know I got a cool thing?
I got a cool thing.
You got a cool thing. I think we're gonna. Without it, this is so not. I mean,
yeah, we have.
You guys can't tell. It's actually got a carrying case to hold all the games and everything. This is. You made that?
It's an Victor watch case.
Oh, we get a round of applause for
This kid's a hero. That's awesome. So this kid right here is the next generation, for the fact. And I'm only probably like 10 years older than you.
I'm probably 20 years old, but I'm loving the fact that we're getting a lot of kids coming in too. Like, I just got a Nintendo. I'm like, yeah, you did. Awesome.
Yeah,
If you want a job,
We have to wait a couple years. If you need tutoring though and reading, I can do that.
I am totally going to be an ass for both of you and override you. I promised him that he has something that's so worthwhile that we have to do it and make sure. And he's got a booth, so I got to let him be able to go back to his room. But yeah, you seem to know way more about this than we're going to.
I've heard about it.
We know generally what it is, but
Okay, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar. Back in the 90s, for the Super Nintendo, Nintendo held several competitions trying to promote, this was during the wars between Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, which one's better. And one of the competitions they ran was in 1992. They had a campus challenge where they went around to different college campuses across the country and let college students compete on a specially designed cartridge. And the winners got to go to Disney World and compete in the finals and win all sorts of cool prizes and such. But the competition cartridge had a 6-minute timer on it and comprised of 3 different games on one cartridge. The first game being Super Mario World, where you had to collect 50 coins, and then it kicked you out of that into the next game, which was F-Zero, and you had to do 2 laps around the first track, and then it kicked you into Pilot Wings, where you get most of the points by landing on targets and whatnot. And then once the timer ran out, it would tally up your score. And the cartridges that they made, I mean, you know what the normal Super Nintendo games look like. This is a much larger cartridge that they use, and it actually has ports in the back where they could network together, so they could just use on one controller, have 4 of them set up, if it all started exactly the same time and ended exactly the same time. And then this one they also used in a competition in Japan, where the top Japanese player and the top US player from the Nintendo PowerFest 90 Nintendo World Championships competed against each other on the Super Mario show in Japan. And then they also brought it the following year to the E3 show for a rematch between those 2 players.
Really quickly, the next thing, I'm just curious, is this something that you like happened to stumble across, something you like sought out because it's just something you're a fan of, or?
Well, this competition I didn't compete in because in '92 I was in high school, not in college.
Yeah.
But the following competition, the PowerFest '94, that one I actually competed in, and I won a trip to San Diego.
Oh, all right, so that's neat.
And so after that, I was like really hooked on these competitions. And so I started looking up and collecting, and actually one of the Nintendo employees that ran the competitions is the one that had these. And somebody found him, and he was running a garage sale, and he had a bunch of prototypes and all these rare games out there. And he's like, oh, the really rare games I keep up in the attic. So he had both of these cartridges up in his attic, and he sold them to this guy, and then I bought them from that guy. That's how I came across him. And then this one's the PowerFest 94. Well, actually, I should go back to the 92 Campus Challenge. Only 4 of those are known to still exist today.
It's very park.
There's a group of people around your car, man, just walk back the other way, get some protection.
And then the PowerFest 94, that one was open to the entire public. They did it like in, they had semi-trucks that went around and opened up, and you could play, sample all sorts of different games and whatnot. They had like the parking lots of Walmart or various different stores or in shopping malls that you can compete. And then they had the finals in San Diego, California. That one follows the same format with 3 games with a 6-minute timer. And this one they had Super Mario Lost Levels, you had to complete the level. And you had to do 5 laps around the track in Super Mario Kart. And then the final game was Ken Griffey Jr. Home Run Derby, where you had to hit home runs. And in the regionals, like in the parking lots and stores and whatever, they had 10,000 points per home run. In the finals in San Diego, they beefed it up to 1 million points per home run. And so there's one of each of those versions known to exist, and this is the 1 million point version. Literally a one of a type game.
Well, and I want to thank you not only just bringing it today to show us, but if you guys aren't aware, he has this hooked up at his booth so you can play it. I mean, that's incredible. I think anybody that would have that would be like, it's mine, get away. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. Like, because that's the thing. Like, that's the spirit of collecting games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not keeping it, putting it in a case, and selling it on eBay in 20 years. It's taking it, using it, enjoying it how it was meant to be, still taking care of it. But you know, like, it's awesome.
Yeah, in that same regard, is there's plenty of people who have prototype cartridges that can be, oh, if I put, you know, regardless of the legality, I'm not going to get into that. But people go, well, I have a prototype cartridge, I'm not going to put the ROM out there so people can experience it for the first time because I can make more money that way. Whereas somebody who actually really has his heart and soul, and it's going to put the ROM out there and be like, I still have the card, it's still worth something to the right person, but now people can actually experience the game if they have the, you know, obviously they don't have the tech to do that. You should go play it. It's cool. I played it. I got to play it, and I mean, most people are aware of the Nintendo, the original one, the World Championship from 1990, the gold cartridge, the gray cartridge variants. Those are the ones more people are familiar with. But there's a lot more. There are 1 or 2 Sega Genesis ones that happened at Blockbusters, which are also incredibly highly sought after, and something I have failed to get twice. One of these days, it'll happen.
And so, what was your goal today for bringing those in? Just to share them with
just
them?
to share and help people learn about, because a lot of people never even heard of these competitions.
It's incredible that you're actually in it too.
Yes.
You know, that makes
great.
it more of a connection.
He also has really cool animated maps because it's worth looking because he brought that stuff.
I have
So-
one question.
Yes.
How much is the Xerox box worth?
Xerox box? Oh,
Probably worth about $1.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for bringing that
It's
over.
really neat.
Any
And,
questions for him though? Before?
you send him off to.
What are those cartridges? Did I miss that? What do they generally go for?
Well, those, it's really, really hard to put a price on.
Yeah,
The NES World Championship is probably the best way to kind of base it. If you have there's a gray and the gold cartridge. The gray cartridge, there's a little bit more out there.
About 50 to like 75.
50 to 75, somewhere around there. Those ones, when they do come out on the market, can go anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000. The NES Gold cartridge was a competition in Nintendo Power. Well, not a competition. It was a giveaway in the Nintendo Power. They gave away 24 gold cartridges, and they don't look really nice at all. The sticker is kind of just like pasted on there. You know, the Zelda Gold cartridges actually look better than these things do. But those, they've only recovered 8 of the 24. Right now, they're guesstimating if it did go up on auction, it would be anywhere from 24 to 30,000.
There was a guy, and this was like a month or two ago, I haven't checked it. There was a guy who sent it into, there was one copy on there for $24,000, but the guy had sent it into VGA. If you don't know, they're a place that they grade sealed games. They'll case it, they'll tell you how, you know, it's essentially, if you're going to sell a sealed game, you basically have to go through them. But I'm not going to get into that discussion. But he had taken the game apart. So you had the bottom, the front, and the actual card itself in three-way, sealed, really nice presentable thing to show up, and he wanted $25,000 before to buy it. I don't know, I've never sold. I assume maybe it did, but some people were kind of miffed that he like destroyed the cartridge and sealed it like that. Some people were like, who cares?
Now, I do have a question on the prototype cartridges. I did go on, like, there's a website, you know, out there that you can go and see, like, what average price is going for eBay is. And I did go on that, and they did show a prototype, but I don't know, I don't think it's the same one, but it was for Super Nintendo. And that one said that the guy was asking $1,800 for it, but that seems kind of low for what those are.
Yeah, especially if it's, you know, basically 1 in a million, you know, or 1 of 4.
Well, the thing with when you have a 1 in a million thing, the thing is it's hard to price it because you don't know what somebody's willing to pay for it. Theoretically, it should be more than $800, but you know, when you don't know, you don't.
Well, you guys know the Atari 2600 cartridge Ewok Adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one where there's only one. And right now, I think the last time it went up for sale, it was like $200,000. Yeah, right around there.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. No. It doesn't even have a cartridge cover around it. What happened was the guy who was creating it, Star Wars Ewok Adventure, made this game. They were going to mass produce it, put it out on Atari just like they do every other game. And at the last possible second, they said, we don't want this game. We don't want it to be based off Ewoks. Ewoks, I don't like them. George Lucas. So they kind of shelved the game. Now the guy who created the game had the prototype, and the prototype, basically he just gave it to a kid that was working with the Star Wars. He held on to it, he kept it in very good condition, and then just one day he said, all right, I'm going to sell it. And when it first sold, I want to say it was like $70,000 was what it went for. And then, you know, everyone was clamoring, we want it, because there's people out there who want the collection. They want to be the one that has everything. So the guy who has it now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think his first name is Kevin.
Not sure.
Okay.
I know that there's a person out there who has it, and I've seen like the person.
He has it. He spent over $200,000 to get his hand on this cartridge. There's only been 3 pictures posted of the cartridge, and it shows that there is no cartridge case or anything. It's just the wiring. You can put it in a cartridge 2600 and play it. There are YouTube videos, but you can't confirm or deny if those YouTube videos are Ewok Adventure because there's only one copy. He said, right here. Yeah, he said if that ever was going to go for sale for him, he'd want $3 million.
Can you put his pinky next to his mouth when he said that?
Yeah. Somebody out there.
The funny thing is that there are people in Europe that have said they'll pay for it if that ever goes up.
Yeah.
So, just a little side story.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so there's only 2 that I knew. Hands up if you had.
Yeah, thank you. Right over that other door right
it's
there.
right across the room. Sure.
Because someone brought that in.
Okay, this is brought in. Who brought the Zelda in? I like it. You already talked about this. So this Game & Watch, if you're not aware, was Nintendo's first video game series they put out. They were these little handheld systems. Your little system looks like a DS. Not a coincidence.
Here's the Donkey Kong version, so you can see it out of the package. Because we're not opening that.
Yeah, you can see there's a bunch on the back too. There's some really weird ones out there. I actually know a lot about these from a Japanese television show. But there's a lot of different variants on it. There's ones with pulled-up controllers. There's ones with see-through screens. There's normal, just one-screen ones, among other things. This is one of the most valuable, as far as in America release,
Yeah.
that I've ever seen, and that is one based on Zelda. It's, if you ever played the Tiger Electronics, they're maybe a step up from that, but not by much.
But ironically, a lot of them came out before the Tiger Electronics did.
Absolutely.
That one did not, but a lot of them did.
I don't have a huge knowledge, particularly specific values, especially in a case like this, the complete ones.
Yeah.
But I do know that this particular one's.
Oh,
I actually was pricing it higher.
yeah, I was gonna say, just
Yeah.
loose, typically these go
That's
between
what I was
80 and
saying.
100 easily, and that's
Yeah.
just like, the
That's the
Nintendo makes
loose one.
50
Well-
different Game & Watches, approximately,
Yeah.
so they
Well-
range in price, and then you got the big licenses with Zelda, and I'll shut up and talk.
No, that's
You
okay.
know,
We've had several conversations about this
Yeah.
specific piece. So he's given me some knowledge, and I really appreciate that because it is his piece, and he knows a lot more about it. Do you want to kind of talk about it at all, or I mean, I can.
I don't really have any.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I mean, basically, I would say I am huge into Zelda.
It's true.
This is my wedding ring has the Triforce on it, and my wife picked it up. So thank you.
He's
wife.
only going to buy those CDI games he disowned earlier.
Yeah, I want to build CDI games, and I'm going to play them. But with this, the Game & Watch, like, because it's Zelda, one thing I always tell people that are Legend of Zelda collectors is that the value never seems to go significantly down. Most of the Zelda stuff becomes collectible, and it doesn't go up as high in value as the rare items that do come out, but it all does seem to go up, like year by year by year. With this, in the case that it is, I would probably say I would go as high as 2, maybe 250.
One thing to consider with that too, though, is that came out in 1989, long after the release of the Game Boy, which basically took over for that idea. So you got to look at it two ways. On one hand, it did not get released in the height of Game & Watch. It did get released at the height of Nintendo marketing, because that was the time of like they had the Nintendo cereal, they had the TV show. So I don't know if there's a lot because of that or a little because of that. Whereas like the box ones came out. This is 1982. This came out before NES even really took off in the United States. Nintendo was just known as a licensing company for Atari back at the time. That's what I'm saying.
And they were card companies.
So it's like, I don't know which one would be more sought after other than tell you straight up. It's in a box, it's sealed, it's Zelda. It's sought after regardless, but the pricing can be kind of difficult to figure out. Again, you guys are bringing in 1 in a million things. This is awesome. I was expecting somebody to go, have a power glove. Great. Awesome. So does everybody.
I got a rob.
Yeah, those are collectible, but
All right.
So. Yeah, I mean, so like, what was your goal? What's your goal with that? Just to keep it as a collector piece, or? Yeah.
I would agree with like 2 to 250. I'm not. I know the loose ones I've seen usually go for 125. That's what we're debating on asking for it if we ever sold ours. We forgot. But so. I mean,
Well, if I ever got it, I would have said.
Yeah, keep it regardless what you can do with it. Keep it, and then whatever you're doing, whatever condition you're doing it, because it's got the little the watch batteries on the inside. So make sure it's a semi-temperature controlled. Like don't keep it in a hot attic or anything, because once those pop, it's gonna bring it down considerably. Not like oh, it's $5 now, but I mean, I looked at it earlier today when you showed it to me too. I'm like, you're still like, sorry, I am a teacher. But like the batteries are even like nice. It's wonderful. It's so cool.
So thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have a pen. Right there.
I don't have it with me, but my roommate Mako, she has the original Final Fantasy VII, but not the greatest hits version, like the original Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
The black one and the original strategy guide. Is that worth anything?
It's worth it's still worth something. It's not like it's not worth anything, but it's not as sought after as it once was, and it's not as uncommon as it once was.
No.
I think I mean we sell the game normally for $30, like the game on its own. If you found the right person with the strategy guide bundle, I would say you could probably get like 50 to
That's what I was
60.
thinking.
If you're on a good day, probably like 50 or 60 with the strategy guide. So I think the strategy guides usually go for like 10, $15 when they're the more sought after ones, the ones people want.
Something to consider too with the greatest hits dilemma, what goes back and forth, whether you believe in the legitimacy of the numbers. The bottom line is, if it's ever gotten away from black, that means it sold 1 million copies, or whatever the threshold is, meaning there are that many copies of the black one out there. And so that means there's a lot of them. Whereas when the green one, it's the reproduction, so to speak.
Actually, there's a fun story there really quick. One of the things that actually brought down the value, from my knowledge, this was from this year's PAX when I went there. Somebody had a Final Fantasy game they brought up for the sealed.
Yeah.
Come to find out that the price on a lot of these games went down because Square Enix put up a bunch of PlayStation 1 games they had in the factory left over, and they were all sealed copies, they were all black labels. I was like, well,
Tactics is on there, and yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I would tell you, I think there's some validity to that because, when I first got into this business and I saw Final Fantasy VII and I was either trading or buying it or reselling it, I was like, I'm going to get, if it's complete and it's black label and it has, I'm going to get $45 for it without the strategy guide. Now, it's like you said, I mean, I sell mine for right around like the $30 threshold right now. If it's new and it's sealed, it can get up to $100.
yeah, sealed changes everything, but
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And that's assuming the discs are in good shape, which I would assume they are.
Yeah.
You never know.
I know Mako.
Another thing about
I know Mako, so we're good.
another thing about the Final Fantasies is that they were released on the PlayStation Network, and as soon as they were released on the PlayStation Network for the PS3, the PS1 discs went down in value as well. So there's
And
a combination of factors.
Yeah,
help that.
and that's a good point to bring up. A lot of people worry the virtual console and re-releases are going to bring on that, but I think it depends on the system and the game. Like Final Fantasy, a lot of people want to play just to play. It's not a big collector game. But like, for instance, Wild Guns. Do you still have your copy of Wild Guns? Or no. Okay.
This guy has it.
I know who has it.
Wild Guns went up and was on. It's what, $100 for this card? Was it around that last year?
No, it was.
Okay.
It was going between $80 and $100, and then people started playing it. And what ended up happening is people started to realize how much fun it is. And Wild Guns as a game, basically, it's a new way of doing a shooter without having a gun. It's like you're on the front of the board is scrolling like it would like in a shooter.
If you ever played Dynamite Duke,
Dynamite Duke, yeah.
There's a couple other games in that Sega made out.
It's not a long game. It's, I think, 5 stages.
4 stages and then the fifth 5.
Yeah, 5 stages. And by the time you beat it, like from start to finish, once you learned how to play the game, maybe half an hour, 30, 40 minutes, and then the game's over. And what you end up doing is you put it on the shelf. And then about 2 months later, you're going to pick that game up again and play it again. It just has a replayability. And so people started talking about it online, like, different critics that are on YouTube that people have watched.
A big one, I'm sure a couple people here on Game Grumps played it. They were big Let's Play. It's a director, an animator, and John Trine's a video personality, and I think that helped too a little bit.
Yeah, and then people started to realize how rare it was.
And the virtual console too.
Yeah.
So how much did you sell this for?
200.
So that's what I'm saying. Like it was 100 a year ago or two, and the price actually went up because of it. So just because it's a digital release does not mean the value is going to go down.
Yeah. Well, it's just like a lot of people have questions about Earthbound. Earthbound for Super Nintendo. That did get up to like $300, but they did release it on the Wii U. So now everyone can play it, so you don't have to have the cartridge.
It didn't level off that much.
It did level off.
I think it's $250 now for every start.
$250. Some have gone for $2. I mean,
it all depends on the day too. You know, that's how it goes.
Do you guys think there's a difference though between if it's a disc originally or a cart originally?
yes.
Because that's my take on it too. Final Fantasy is a disc. People throw away discs all the time. Whereas the cartridges are unique, they're specific. Nobody else has a disc this shape, and I think that kind of adds to collectability.
And they last forever.
Yeah, exactly. You don't worry about
You
scratching.
can fix almost any NES cartridge. Well, I would say like 90 out of 100 times you can fix.
Yes.
So you took it up,
Yeah, see this gentleman over here with a Pong machine?
Two things.
Yep.
Squaresoft does also sell silverback PlayStation games. Like we have 2 sealed copies of Chrono Cross, but they got silverbacks, so not like the original thing. But I've done that with Final Fantasy VII. But this is the only cool thing I can bring.
Okay, so this is kind of cool. Now, I think a lot of you know what Pong is. First, there are a lot of games. When Pong came out, one thing that's interesting is that there were numerous versions of Pong. Because I don't know licensing or what the deal was, but bottom line is nobody seemed to own it. I could have made a Pong machine if I was alive and sold it. But this is one of the more well-known ones in my opinion. It's one of the Sears Tele games. If you actually look at even like Atari cartridges, a lot of them are Sears Tele games on there. And it's got the Atari label on it. Yeah, it's just really sweet, and it's got a complete setup. May I?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually from our store.
Very cool. Now, one thing I always actually take this one with batteries too. Okay, so this is actually a pretty nice unit too. Obviously, you're going to need actually any TV this would work on, to my knowledge, other than you need an adapter.
There's some other F connectors. You can get
Yeah.
them pretty much any hardware store. They're not hard to come by.
Here, the batteries. What's that on this thing?
This is what? Let me double check it. You can continue talking. This is not anything
It
Atari age.
separates.
Yeah, anything Atari age and back is actually not much of expertise. So.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be like pre-Atari 2600. The one thing about any of this stuff is that because there are so many, the market got flooded. Maybe,
I think it was a plug-in actually.
So there are a lot of these out there. But again, it's one of those deals where it has a box, and the box is in pretty decent shape. It's got a little bit of markings in it, but the styrofoam's complete, which is crazy in itself. So I mean, this is definitely, it's again, I feel like we're repeating ourselves, but it makes sense. This is the piece for like the right Atari collector. Somebody that's, I would say over the age of 30, 35 typically. And that's, because that's going to be the era of anybody that was even alive. I mean, Pong has been recreated numerous times, so you're not going to get that exclusivity that you'd have with the Vectrex. But on that same token, you've got the dials. They would control little paddle dials, which again, you're not going to get that on an iPad conversion of this. What do you know about it? Like, what do you? I mean, you brought it from your store. So, what's your story with this?
It's Pong.
Yeah, right. Quote of the day.
I actually have one in my store as well too. I don't have the box, I don't have the styrofoam, and mine is brown, so it's not the Sears version. And it's identical. It looks exactly like that, but it's made by a completely different manufacturer. I'm asking for mine $20, but it's not in the box because there are a lot out there. I have 2 other versions of Pong systems in my store. One has 4 controllers that pop off. One is battery operated, like what you were describing.
Battery operated, battery operated, one down the
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm asking $20 for them. In this condition, I would probably sell it for about $40.
Yeah, I would say 40 if you want to sell it, 50 if you want to do the showcase piece, like the Millennium Falcon thing. You know what I mean? That way, people come to the store. Because the reality is, anybody that walks in your store is going to go, oh, Pong. Even if it doesn't go past that, they have something they remember you by. So is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about Pong? Yeah, no, that's exactly. I would have bring it and say, hey, look what I got.
Classic Pong. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. It's cool. Thank you for bringing that in, sir.
Anybody else?
Got a lot of stuff there.
I want to see how long he's waiting.
Yeah, no, right? Alrighty. Oh, gee, you told about this earlier, the Fairchild.
Oh, the Fairchild. I
So,
know about this.
I want to walk this around because, honestly, to me as a collector, the box makes it for me, just without even opening it. Look at the kids.
Look at the people on the box, especially the old lady on the bottom.
Yeah, this is like.
It also doubles as an answering machine.
Yeah, right. What's cool about like all the old box art too is because it's 80s and 90s. They wanted you to think that it was so cool regardless of whether it was or not, so they showed you how cool it was. The back of the Atari 2600 box, one of the models, it's got a bunch of one family sitting on the rug, all wearing red sweaters. It's like a cult or something, I have no idea, but I love this. Just like the guy in the middle right there going,
That one person's really fat, one lady above is really frustrated by the system though.
Oh, well, that's great.
But for the whole family, even
Literally. Is there a fish? So why don't you start, Rich, and tell us what you know about the Fairchild.
The Fairchild came out in the early 70s. Obviously, it came out after Pong. The system itself has some built-in games. There were 26 cartridges that were available for it throughout its life. The Fairchild was eventually renamed the Channel F. So if you look on some of the cartridges, actually, you see that it says Channel F on them, whereas the original release of the cartridges just say Fairchild. All the cartridges are just numbered, and there are normally 2 to 4 games on each cartridge.
Really quick, correct me if I'm wrong. This was the first cartridge-based system, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
this is the first cartridge-based system. Now, show you what this monstrosity really looks like.
Try some of the best Phillips.
Everything. Oh, well, yeah.
I got some for the next con that we do.
But everything's connected. There's no way to disconnect everything. All right, so you got like a 10-pound AC adapter right here, and inside are your joysticks. You press down. There is no fire button. You press down on it because of some of the games require it. The games themselves are a little bit smaller than an 8-track tape. I hope people know what those are.
Some people, I'm sure.
Uh,
Well, they know, if he just get those where the vector says, you probably knows it. You probably have an 8-track player in your room. Yeah, it's a type of music.
Some of these have only been opened once or twice. They are in almost new condition. So it's difficult for me to get some of them out of the boxes. Yeah, they're the size of an 8-track tape. Bright yellow cartridges. There are some cartridges that where they came in white boxes and they had white cartridges as well. For the most part, they're bright yellow. They go right in the front. There's an eject button on the front to eject it, just like a old style tape deck. Yeah, it hooks up the same way that the Atari did. If you had the old televisions with the UHF connectors, it's a really cool piece.
And what's cool is like a thing to speak of on this too, Matt, is much like the Vectrex, prior to Nintendo really getting into the home console market, a lot of these old systems were hardwired in. Actually, even Nintendo made that mistake because their Famicoms in Japan, the controllers are hardwired in, which would make this an incredible, monstrous project to try to fix. But at the same token, even if it was broken, the completion of it would make it a wonderful display piece. And you get the book. I mean, the manual's still in there in case you need to know how to hook up your Fairchild, and the warranty. I'm sure this is expired.
When I got it, the best part about it was there was a candy bar wrapper in there from 1974. Nestle Crunch candy bar.
Nice.
I'll tell you something. I want to elaborate on this later if we got time. But I want you to know a fruit roll-up wrapper is the bane of my existence, but I will explain after you're done talking really quick. Because there's a reason for that. It does have to do retro gameplay. Now, my only question to you is: is this something you had as a kid and you decided you want to get back in, or is it just you're into this era of gaming and you wanted to have
I'm not into this era of gaming. I grew up, I was born in '76. I got my Nintendo for Christmas of 1985. My first experience with video games at all was Donkey Kong in the arcade. My first experience with a home console was the game Kangaroo. Very, very good game. I was hopping up and down as a little kid playing it at a friend of my parents' house. But a friend of the family knew that I collected video games. She had never heard of this and contacted me. Could never remember what it was, or could never remember to take pictures of it, so she brought it to me at work one day and says, find out what you can about this. I said, okay. So I found out a little bit of information. I just thought she wanted a price so that I could buy it off her. She says, okay, it's yours, don't worry about it. So, yeah, now I've got it. I am actually looking to get rid of it. I'm not going to keep it. My
10
wife
cents?
is,
Starting the bidding, no.
yeah. My wife's pregnant. We converted our spare bedroom into a nursery, so looking to get rid of some of the bigger things so that we can just make space for our new baby to do on Christmas Eve.
Now, has it been tested?
I have not tested it.
Okay. Because that's going to be a big difference. I mean, depending on who's in the era, a collector that's going to like the pre-Atari stuff is going to, I get told, it's going to love the condition. The condition is going to drive it. But at the same token, if it doesn't work, then it's just a big box of stuff.
Correct. The best part is that most of the games are in almost new shape or pretty darn good shape. A lot of them actually have, not that there's much of an instruction manual for the games, but a lot of them have the instruction sheets inside also, and all of the original paperwork. So this is a pretty good find, especially at the price, which
Yes.
Yeah.
Free.
$0.
I can match that price today.
I'm gonna sit this one out. I know all the system.
$5 more.
No, but in all fairness to what you're going for today, at least my stuff, anybody else would like to discuss it with you for sure. I wouldn't be able to budge on it until I knew that it worked.
Oh, absolutely. There are enough televisions out there.
You're right, yeah, exactly.
We could test to see if it worked.
My opinion is too early for me. I know all the system. I actually do know its history, its place in time, which I think that's, for me as a collector, that would be the coolest thing. It's like, this was the first system that did cartridge. It was, very important at the time. So that, I think, is what interests me. But I don't know much more. I don't know about relative value of it myself.
Well, for me, it's, what do I think someone would buy it for in my store? And the reality of the situation is, and I'm a news store, so I don't know if the collector in Syracuse is out there that's going to give this the home it really needs. This is one of those things, just like your Vectrix that we were talking about, where it's got to go, I would say, on the national market to see exactly what it's going to be worth. So, I mean, for me, it would basically be a shot in the dark as to what the value is. Just going off the knowledge, I would say, because it has the games, it's a great system. It's not very well known, like, Atari, Nintendo, Sega, something along those lines, but it's going to be something that the complete collector is going to want. So if you get enough people fighting over it, I would. I was gonna say, because it's got the games complete in the box, you're gonna sell it as a collection. You're not gonna piecemeal this off.
Yeah.
250, 300.
If I had all of the games, obviously that'd be a little bit different. I've missing a couple, and I've got duplicates of a couple. Anything higher than 21 is the highest one that I have.
Yeah.
23 through 26 are really expensive, especially number 26. Number 26 is in the hundreds of dollars just for the cartridge itself. Obviously, I'm not looking to complete it. But I just thought that it was a pretty cool piece.
Absolutely.
Started
Started the swapping technology, basically, and the controller is unique in itself.
Right.
So definitely, thank you for bringing that in too.
Yeah, Pong was a good idea. They changed it. Controllers you can rotate. Some of the games in Pong, you're just going up and down like this. And this, you can play Pong this way, this way.
Yeah, variations.
There's only so many variations of it that you can do.
Now, are you? That's going to go for any of you here that are bringing stuff too. So obviously we only have a limited time when it comes to this. If you're on the Facebook page for this event, which you are if you're here, for the most part, I think, would you be, are you on there?
Yes, absolutely.
Because maybe if you want to just share what your name is, whatever, people, if they have more interest and want to really talk to you more about this, they can contact you about that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My name is Rich Bork, B-O-U-R-Q-U-E. I live here locally. I was part of the staff. I've been collecting video games since the early 80s. And you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/rich.bork/5 or something silly like that. But it's easier just to find me on the page for the RetroGameCon. Right now, my picture is...
It's a Zelda picture.
A Zelda picture. Yeah.
So that's just something
but it changes to video game themes things. I don't have a picture of myself up there. But if anyone's interested, definitely give me a shout. I'm on pain medication right now. So
Follow us right out of this room right now.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Who's next?
Just a quick question. I have a friend who has an original FF6 card signed by Promoter Lawsuit.
I probably know where he got that. I'm going to take a guess and say you went to MagFest 2 years ago and got it done.
I don't know.
I'm still taking a guess. Yeah. Near there.
Close.
Close. More area. FF6, so that's the import copy, right? It's not. Is it FF3 for the Super Nintendo or is it FF6 for the Super Famicom?
It's FF3.
Okay. All right. So the base game, from my knowledge, is it a loose card or is it complete box?
About
Loose
30
part.
bucks.
Yeah, 40, what?
30 to 40.
30, 40, yeah. Signed things are hard to go by, to be honest. Signed things,
Is there verification, like a photo or anything that would go with it?
Yeah.
Not that we have.
Yeah. See, the hard part with signatures is verification.
Right.
You know, you have to have something like that. Like if you get the thing done, you're trying to get it resold, you take a photo that's showing that the person is signing it. That's pretty good. I mean, you know,
I did that when I went to MagFest this past year, using Shira, who does music for a lot of Sega games. I'll talk about it at 4 o'clock in my panel. I have a picture of him more because I idolize him.
Yeah.
Basically making Sega Genesis actually sound amazing.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him signing it, which means I could theoretically sell it if I ever felt the need to.
I still go by the moon theme for DuckTales.
The way for agreement. But yeah, it's that's sort of that same argument we've had how many times now this whole time. It's sort of a one in a lot. For the right person, you could probably usually from what I see signed stuff usually goes for. It all depends. Like I mean, my rule of thumb usually when it's specialized to some degree for whatever reason. Especially because it's so connected to the game, I would double it usually for me. But that's I mean, well, if you're you find the right price.
Yeah,
that's
with,
if you
with
find the
no
right price.
verification, maybe $10 is basically what I would say. Is I'd say it looks like his signature. You know, I've looked on. You know, you can go on Google Images and see almost anyone's signature at this point. As long as you compare a bunch of the Google images, and you can do a little bit, maybe $10 more. If you can get solid verification, which VGA does not do signatures. Right?
No, they don't.
VGA will only do new box stuff and give you, what the condition of the box is. So there's really, like, you can go to autograph authenticators, and they will authenticate any autograph. And if you get that, double, if it's authenticated, you can triple or quadruple the price. So, yeah, not a problem. Yes?
I have a question for something toy related.
Sure,
With like
sure.
video games.
Yeah.
I have a set of Pokemon dog type necklaces
Okay.
from I think 1990s.
Okay.
I think it was Target exclusive.
Yes.
I still have all of them in good condition.
Okay.
How much do you think it would go for?
Pokemon is a broad subject.
With these giveaways, do you know, like for pre-ordering it? That'll make it more of a, depending on what it is.
Well, I think what it is like you can just go there and
Buy the dog
buy the dog.
I have the Target. I actually do vaguely remember these because I was the right age for that simple thing.
I will tell you this right now: Pokemon, Mario, and Zelda are the 3 most made products out there. I have Pokemon toys in my store, and they range anywhere from 99 cents to $50. You know, it's really depends on popularity of the character. You know, like a collection like that. Like I mean, Pokemon cards is a great way to start. Pokemon cards, when they first came out, were fantastic. Everyone wanted them, and everyone had to have like the rare ones, Charizard, the foil, Charizard foil. Come on, everyone needed to have that Charizard foil. The Charizard foil is $18 right now. Yeah, and so what ended up happening is like the great thing about the technology that we have now on the internet is that people are actually getting a much better idea of what's rare, what's not rare. You know, like we were talking about Final Fantasy VII earlier. You know, you have over 1 million copies made, so with more being flooded into the market, the price has gone down. With your collection of Pokemon, it's not one that I've heard a lot about. So my guess is they probably sold for maybe $3-4 a necklace at a time.
Something like that.
I'm guessing.
I don't know. I got it in a box of like 6, I think, or 20.
6 for 20, so $3 or $4. Yeah, right around there. I would say they haven't lost value, but I don't think that they've gone significantly up. I will tell you that right now, the most collectible Pokemon are the first 152. I do include Mew and Mewtwo in there. Yeah, they're all first generation. I say first generation is always going to hold. It's just like with Nintendo.
Nostalgia value.
Yeah, nostalgia value.
I'll try to explain. It's not really Pokemon, but it's kind of a cool story. When Burger King, most of you remember if you were into that, and they were in the Burger King kind of promotion at 57 toys They came out with a movie. They had they had the trading cards. It was big to do. They had the Pokeballs, the gold cards. They had a contest, and 10 people at these Burger Kings would win a set of all the toys, all the cards, all the gold Pokemon, and a copy of the VHS movie. And I happened to win one of those 10 sets. I actually never opened any of them. What I managed to do was maybe 3 or 4. Actually, I'll be honest, it actually helped start this collection. I took it up on eBay and said I have them all. They're all bagged. They're all in relatively good shape. I have the movie still. I just said, this was the prize back then. The certificate that said you won the prize package. Had all the things in the box, all that stuff. I think I sold it for around in that range. And I ended up buying a copy, a complete box copy of Gunstar Heroes, so I could probably have a box on my personal copy, and like 2 or 3 of the other big ones, the Cascade Contra, those things. And go figure. I like that too.
Yeah, I just bought it.
Yeah, I've seen that you have a lot of Pokemon stuff with you right now, so clearly whatever the value of these dog tags is going to be higher for you than it would be for the general public.
Yeah.
So it's just cool.
Wear them proudly.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to switch to more of the PC.
Okay.
I have a little bit of knowledge. If it's our adventure games, we're going outside.
I grew up more on the PC, and by the way, I do have a Commodore 64. So that guy you got to do work. But I have, and I don't have the boxes or anything with these cards. These are just a small collection of like great PC series. But the creme de la creme, in order to run these games, you need that. In the shrink wrap with a certificate and serial number.
Yes. For my money, the best thing he has is a complete collection of Space Quest, which is one of the best Sierra point adventure games.
I have one.
I love
these are things I've just been holding on to for years.
I will say that what I know about PC gaming is that it has to be a recognizable game that somebody's going to put on a shelf. Majority of these games do not work anymore with the current computer.
That's why I have the DOS.
Exactly. Without
the thing is DOS box. That's what a lot of people use.
I know. I use it myself.
I don't.
Who has the original?
A lot of value. I mean, like if you're talking what ones would be if they're going to have value, Myst probably would. Myst is a relatively popular PC series. Space Quest is a relatively well-remembered series. Warcraft 2.
This came before World of Warcraft, and these ones aren't nearly as popular.
These 3, Bad Mojo, Max 2, Chessmaster. They're cool games potentially. I don't know if they're worth anything. PC's a very fickle thing to actually. To my knowledge, a lot of PC games don't have a lot of value because you can't play them, or they're hard to play now, and they're easy to, they're discs. They can get scratched easily. And then later on, if you don't have the manuals and stuff from a lot of games, you need it there. I should have brought this. I didn't think anyone would care. We have a copy of Legion Barry 4. Complete box has all the pressing materials, which half the stuff we couldn't show in here right now. Anyways, I actually didn't get
It's actually so tame.
It is. I actually will be going in January to Manifest again. Aldo will be the creator, and we can sign. It'll be awesome. And that's a complete game. It's floppy disk based. It's like $30.
Yeah.
And that's complete. That's like everything. It's
Just the discs.
not a whole lot.
This would be your best one that he says, just because people are
Space Quest
would be your second, and then the Warcraft. The ones that are still worth something are if they're in the battle chest, where you have like a bunch of the expansions.
Right, that's what I actually bought, and of course I opened it to play it. And it was like $70 or something at EB or something like that back in the day.
Well, I really don't know. The DOS thing might actually be worth something, especially if it is sealed up and everything. It got the certificate and everything. I mean, if anything, that would probably be, I think, be worth something.
Yeah.
Just because it is sealed, it's got everything there. And, there's that collector for just about everything out there. Somebody out there's be like, I need that MS-DOS 6.2. So, I think if there's anything I'd put up first.
Hold on to it for another 50 years and then come out with Windows 59.
Well, and that'll make that a museum piece as well, though. That's that one thing. It's kind of what started it all from disc-based games to some degree. So, I mean, like, that's one of those things. Keep it like you have it.
I've got boxes of floppies. Unfortunately, I don't know the boxes of these, but I've got like 10 boxes of floppies. And like it's got like Sim City, like the original, like Star Trek, and a whole bunch lot. But I mean, these are like all like where they come in like 20 floppies. And
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, you gotta keep
Swap
switching around the codes.
Yeah.
Yeah, except PC gaming is very tough with rampant piracy, but also some of those floppy ones you needed a book in order to actually start.
Or
the
they
game.
have that red and black
That's what I
thing
mean, yeah,
that you can't
the
photocopy,
scrambler, basically.
Where it's like you type in the 6-digit number.
Yep, and those games become completely unplayable if you don't have that.
Right.
So thank you for bringing those in. It's always good to PC. We've got about 5 minutes or so,
We can,
we can run over.
Yeah, we can run over a bit. I know you
Okay.
guys don't, you have to leave, but me and James can hang out for a bit. I'm
Cool.
in
So
here
we
next
have
anyways. Anybody else?
if you have a question about anything we brought in too, by all means.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a box.
Okay, alright. Well, a lot of,
Does it have the
May I?
Yes.
I already opened it.
what's important comparatively as a Sega collector, this is more of a hidden thing. Sega collector is a little bit easier to find things.
It's in really nice shape.
Yeah,
It's kind of a weird,
if you notice, it's a lot harder to find these in good shape because they're cardboard. Sega collectors have a little bit easier. We have a clamshell, it does have the manual, it doesn't have the map.
Doesn't have a map. Okay.
Which, I mean, it's still a complete box. There's a little bit of writing on it, but the manual's in really nice shape. So that's good. I mean,
and there's some notes from somebody that.
I love that. That's actually something I love as a collector. The sword is hidden under the gravestone in the cemetery.
Spoiler.
Well, there was yeah, the manuals, there's a little bit of bends, but overall, page are intact. Not a lot of writing text in the notes in a couple little other places.
The styrofoam is in there. All NES games had a styrofoam that was about an inch thick. And oddly enough, that's actually kind of a big deal. People like myself, I want the styrofoam. I made the styrofoam. It's kind of dorky, but same token.
Well, no, there's companies out there that'll make the inserts for any of these right now.
Yeah. And because of the nature of this game too, there was a window. So without the styrofoam, wouldn't rest right. So that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah. Now, a common thing about the Zelda games that a lot of people say is, well, I have Zelda Nintendo Gold card. It's gold. Yeah. There's a gray card for the Zelda game. Everyone goes, well, it's not the gray card. I have the gold card. Well, the gray card is the more rare of the two.
We have one at our booth right now, maybe.
Yeah.
But even that's only about a $5
Yeah, it's not a big
swing.
No, it's not a huge difference, but the gray card is actually more rare than the gold card.
Again, there's no map, but at the same token, like we keep saying today, Zelda is a series that does hold up over time.
Losing's $20. So
Yeah, so in this condition, I would.
usually
Yeah, that's what I would say.
If it had
I
the
would-
map, it'd be a little bit more, but I would put it in the store.
I have seen stores selling it for much higher, but again,
If it had the map, it would be 50.
Yeah.
That would be what I would do, 50 to 60.
One little fun fact that I like doing stupid stuff. There's a monster in the game called Pulse Voice in this manual, and it says that ghosts with big ears are weak point. He hates loud noise. In the American version, that means nothing.
Famicom.
The Famicom controller to it, a microphone. You can use the scream into it to kill the enemy. But this is just like, what are you talking about? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
I like to add something about
Yes.
Rich, hold on, guys. Rich.
I like to add something about that. Actually, right now, I can tell from here that the box, the game, and the manual are mismatched. The manual is for the greatest hits version.
Yeah.
The cartridge has the red writing on the back of it, so it's the second release of the Legend of Zelda. So that's something that you could.
no, but all seriousness, well, I'm a huge Nintendo collector. I've got over 600.
There are actually 3 releases of the gold cartridge. I can show everybody right here. On the back right here, there's a warning to tell you to hold reset while you hit the power, turn it off. The original release of the cartridge didn't say that in the game, it didn't say it in the manual, and it didn't say it on the cartridge. If you look on page 1, in this manual, it's going to remind you to make sure that you hold reset when you turn the power off. Somewhere. Wherever it is. Not exactly sure where. But this manual, there were a handful of releases of the manual. There was originally Nintendo wanted all of the games to have a 2-letter code. So this was ZL for Zelda. If you look in this upper right hand corner, it says NES ZL USA 2. There's NES ZL USA 1, there's NES ZL USA and a stock. And then there's a blank one. The blank one was the original release. And then this is the one for the greatest hits release. So that makes all of this mismatched. Serious collector would take that into consideration. Now, as for the gold cartridge, there's 3 versions of the cartridge. There's this one. It's got 3 screws on the back. It's got the red writing on the back to remind you. There's also one with 3 screws, and it's all black on the back and no reminder on it. And on that cartridge, when you go to play it, if you die, it doesn't remind you in the game to hold reset. It doesn't, and the manual wouldn't remind you either. The other version of the gold cartridge is the 5-screw. It'll be smooth all on top. Now the 5-screw version of the cart, believe it or not, they all have the red warning on the back of them. Even though it was 5-screw versions of the game are notoriously they would be the earlier version of the game. But actually the 5-screw version of Zelda was not the earlier version.
Do you ever use this really quick? The 5, it was that. Now I know one of the big things about the 5-screw games is that what in the earlier games what they actually had was they had it was a Famicom chip with a little converter, and it's actually semi-sought after because people use those to convert Famicom games into PlayStation.
Very rare.
Not every 5-screw game
is that
with that converter.
That's why I was curious. One of those.
Zelda was not one of them.
Yeah. Sites like Hogan Valley, those are some of the really early ones.
Which one was the one that had
Gyromite, about 50% of the Gyromite cartridges had them. Every single stack-up cartridge had one inside it. You can get any of the black box games that came out with the original release. There was a potential that it had a converter inside so you could play the Famicom game. It was actually the Famicom version. He actually got this game for me. And the unfortunate thing about him getting this game for me is he got it for me for $25 2.5 years ago. And now that game, cartridge alone, even with the writing on the back of it, is what came about.
Oh, and let me mention something to anybody in here that's a collector too, which is going to help you out. NES, N64, and Super Nintendo, most of them are quite easy to just, if you know how to pop them open, Nintendo's even better. But if you were to get a game like this is, by the way, pretty sought after game. It's called Demon's Crest. It continues to go up in value right now. It's on a major upswing. It's bad, so.
It's based on the enemy from Reddit Ammo.
But I would say, like, basically, it's easy to just, like, this is worth, like, say, $1 million, and you got a game that's worth $1, just pop it, switch it, you're good to go. Most games are made that way. It's got a battery and it's a little different, but, because that'll make your collection even more sought after. Sorry about your $25 sale.
I actually,
but obviously,
box
this is, I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at it recently. I mean, I have it in box myself. Obviously, pull out the whole eBay, but yeah, I would say easily just the car is 50. Like, you've already doubled your money. Complete in box, obviously, especially Super Nintendo boxes, because much like NES, they're cardboard, they got pitched. So yeah, I mean, you doubled your money already. And it's a good game. There's so many of these rare games like that that are just like, it's not total crap, but there's some games that are garbage, and they're worth,
I don't collect for value, I collect because I like it.
You want to play it. So sweet.
I regret that decision immensely later on.
Want to mention anything else?
It's a really fun game. Very good game.
Yeah, it is a great game. It's a
really
cool action RPG.
The prequel to this is called Gargoyle's Quest 2 on the Nintendo. Gargoyle's Quest, the first one, is on the Game Boy.
Yep.
The original Game Boy, black and white Game Boy. And then it was Golden Ghost.
Super
That's where that came from.
Yeah. And that whole series has a nice collectability to it. The Gargoyle's Quest 2 on NES and Demon's Crest are the two most sought after of the series. The Super Ghouls and Ghosts and the Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins, they sell like a $10, $15 game on a good day.
The Genesis one is about $20, $25.
Yeah.
The actual original for the NES is actually like only around $5 to $10, and then the Super Nintendo is around $10 to $15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Genesis one's more sought after because there's not as many Genesis games that people want to play.
What also came out when it was still black box too.
Yeah.
It did come on Game Boy too.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. And I do have to go, but does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff before I walk out?
we're gonna stick here for a few more minutes, so just make sure we got through everybody, being in that time. But
No, I'm lying.
did anybody else have anything else they wanted? You do. All
Like
right.
that, like, isn't there
We'll
like
continue
that?
until either I have to kick them out so I can get my panel ready and started, or
Yeah, no, that's
Oh! Oh yeah! That's what I'm talking about. We got Sega people up in here.
Man, I might have to stay, but.
Okay, I get to. This is.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so excited right now. Okay, Sega Pico is an educational system that was made by Sega, much more popular in Japan than in America. And I actually play a fun story about that. Essentially, you would hook this up. There's a book that would come with everything. It plugs into the bottom here, and it's sort of like an interactive storybook. I'm not completely sure how this works out. You'd open them up, and it'd just be these pages. They would come up with screen light on the screen, and you would interact with them with this pen on here. They're not so much games, more an educational tool, but it's a really neat system just because it's very different.
Familiar with Elite Pads?
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger and bolder. What's cool about this system, first of all, it's an easy system to collect for, and it's not expensive. Most of the games for this complete box don't actually go for that much. There's only about 20 games. So if you want to get into a system that you can collect quickly, it's relatively easy. And there's some really cool novelty games. There's an Echo Junior game. There's a Sonic Tails actually. It's not Sonic.
Worlds.
No, Wacky Worlds is the Genesis game. I think it's like Sonic Music Maker or something like that. It's hard to show you exactly how the game works. Like I said, you'll be interactive elements that you'll touch essentially the general area of it, and then you need to interact with buttons down here. Some of the levels have different specialties to it. What's really cool if you get into the Japanese version is in Japan, before Sega went out of business, there's a Pokemon game in this thing. That's the rarest of all the games because it's really sought after by collectors both in America and Japan.
Bootleg?
No, it was Nintendo. Right, but it was used as an educational tool in schools, and Sega allowed Pokemon to be on because in Japan, the Pico actually was a relatively successful teaching tool. So Nintendo actually made a game for the Pico, which is way before the Mario and Sonic go to the Olympics. BS we got later. So, the system and the games themselves actually aren't worth a huge amount, especially loose. You can get one of these. Do you have the actual plug for this thing somewhere?
No, any cords.
Okay, so yeah, without any cords, I can pick up like $20 for them, and maybe like $10 for the games a piece. They're not the most uncommon of them, but they're not really uncommon. You can probably sell a lot for like $30 or $40. If you had cords, if you had a plug for this, even if you didn't have the other cords, if you had a plug for this, I probably would buy this off you actually. But a boxed one goes for about $50 if you got everything in there. Like I said, there's only about 20 games. You can collect them relatively easy. Some guy had a lot of all 20 of them online, complete box, for like I think like $10 a piece for $200 for the whole set, which is cheap actually. You can get them sealed. It's easy to get sealed sets for. And it's a very unique system. You don't see it very often. It's a cool piece of Sega lineage. Like I said, it's really cool in Japan. There's some really neat games if you're willing to go the extra mile. The Pokemon game is actually really good. I've seen it played on YouTube. I've never actually had a chance to play it, obviously. That one goes for about 50 to 60 last I knew. But I know you don't see them very often. But like I said, the system isn't well known, so it's not super flexible. But it is a neat system. It's a cool little piece of. How did you come by this? Is this just something you found at a yard sale or something, or?
Thrift shopper.
There you go.
I was tripped over it.
Yeah, it's the bulkiest thing in the world. It's got a handle to it, but without any cords or anything, you're not probably getting more than $10. You can't test it or anything like that. But I don't know what kind of. I know it's just
DC, yeah. It might be a standard Genesis Model 2 plug because this came out around that era.
But so, I wouldn't want to gamble. I'm afraid
oh God, no, yeah.
But yeah, you can probably get an easier replacement for it. Like I said, it's it's not worth a lot without any of the plugs or anything. But you'd probably throw them on eBay with the games for like $20 to $30 and probably get away with it. But it is a cool system. It's a neat thing. If you had it complete, you could probably double that. And then if the game, I would personally, if you get it working, collect for it. If you're a collector, it's not hard to collect for. I have 3 of the games complete in box already without the system, just because they fell into my lap. I got somebody bought the Echo Junior as a joke because I have a little vendetta against Echo, and I'll talk about that before. And then I also have a copy of the Mickey game and Sonic one. But yeah, not worth a heck of a lot, but a really cool piece of like Sega history. I don't know if you two have anything to add.
No, I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, it's the technology itself is obsolete based on Fisher Price and Leap, but
how I look at it, I'm shocked that you would want it. I don't mean it in a bad way, but my mindset is that anybody that's here today that's collecting for video games is well beyond the age. You could say that about any of these games. But you know, 'cause it's for little kids. But at the same token, certainly a nice piece of Sega's history.
Which, as for a lot of Sega fans collect it because it's a history item and because it's not a lot of games, not expensive.
Yeah.
Why not have it?
Exactly.
And you know, if I eventually have kids down the road, they're 3, I can give them Sonic and start working on this, and then they can move on to Sonic. So thanks for bringing it in. You made me happy.
Yeah, right?
We'll talk afterwards. Without a plug, I'll try to make it fair.
And thank you guys so much for supporting this.
I'll be here at 4 talking about more Sega stuff. I'm going to show you some games that you probably don't know that are worth looking at.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your time.